What happens when two dudes, one a retired Navy SEAL commander in Colorado Springs, and the other a hippie meditation teacher in New York City, get together to discuss living mindfully? That's a great question, because we don't know what will happen either. Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness with co-hosts John McCaskill and Will Schneider. Each week, we take an authentic dive into how mindfulness continually impacts our lives, deepens our relationships, and allows us to be emotionally alive. Now, on to the show.
John D. LeMay says, accountability separates the wishers in life from the action takers that care enough about their future to account for their daily actions. Hey, it's Will Schneider with Men Talking Mindfulness. I'm joined by my brother from another mother, Jon McCaskill over there in Colorado Springs. I'm coming to you from New York City. We are going to dig into the power of accountability today and see how creating accountability structures in your life, regardless of your pursuit, will help you achieve whatever goal you choose and will help you to do so more effectively and with less stress. It's great to be back. We are launching season 4 of Men Talking Mindfulness. We're so happy that our pursuit of our Men Talking Mindfulness has led us into season 4. John, great to see you. How are you? Welcome back to Men Talking Mindfulness.
What's going on? I am well. I'm feeling good. It's been a crazy time between seasons. Let's see. I got COVID. I was down hard for like 2 weeks. Luckily, I have a little RV in the backyard, and I quarantined in my backyard in that RV for a while.
Until you ran out of propane, right?
Until I ran out of propane. Yeah, it started getting cold. So then I started quarantining in my daughter's bedroom, and she moved upstairs. But it all worked out, and now I'm feeling much better. And I'm super excited to get into this topic. It's very appropriate right now because my wife and I have signed up for a half marathon. And we actually, so haven't run that far in a while. I've run some half marathons. I've run some marathons, but that was all life before kids. And now I've got 3 kids and I haven't done a whole lot of running, and I'm excited to get into running again. But the reason I mention it is we've got 2 other friends that we're going to be running it with. And we've joined this group that kind of hold us accountable to the training. And, we're going to get into the power of accountability and what that does. But I feel like when I wake up in the morning, when I need to run, I feel, oh, you know what? It's not just me that I'm running for. It's these other people that I'm running with. And that's holding me accountable to that. So that and, the mindfulness and movement experience that we do together with Teresa Larson and Movement RX, that whole thing is built around the power of accountability. And we'll talk more about that later in the show. So yeah, man, I'm doing well. Back over to you, unless you're ready to do our first grounding practice of season 4.
I got the COVID too.
Oh yeah, man.
My mom calls it the COVID.
The COVID.
Yeah, like
That's
I had like a little cough.
The
COVID, right?
Yeah.
I had a little cough. I lost my throat for like a day or 2 and a little bit of, mucus, and that was it. But like I didn't really, thankfully, no fatigue and all that kind of stuff. But I'm excited for the natural immunity that it brought to me. Especially here in New York City, which is just kind of getting crushed by
Ground
Omicron.
zero,
but
man.
it is. But it's like we're doing much better. I mean, I'm out there in the city and it's working and it's flowing just fine. But yeah, I'm excited about today's topics too. But let's just dive right in, John. Let's get to that grounding practice and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, if you've never joined Men Talking Mindfulness before, if you've never listened, if you've never watched, welcome, first of all, to season 4. We've got tons of great episodes prior to this. The history of this show is we started on Instagram Live. So our first few episodes, though the topics were great, the audio wasn't. But we've gotten much better. We've gotten much more professional. And here we are on YouTube exclusively so that we can stream our video in much higher quality. But the reason I mention all that is also to show you that we start and end every show with some type of mindfulness grounding practice. You can call it a meditation. You can call it a grounding practice. That's what we're going to do. We're going to ground ourselves And it's just as much for you as our audience as it is for us, me and Will, because we really get jazzed before these shows. We get super excited to bring what it is we're talking about to our audience. So that said,
Well, John, hey, let me just say something really quick. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
but,
no, you're good.
We actually have, like, during our little break, we released 6 different meditations that include breathing, that include different types of meditation, even a walking meditation. So we put those out, so you can go through those meditations as often as you like in order to, whatever your situation is in your day or whatever, if you just want to stick to a particular practice on a regular basis, those meditations are out there for you. And I think, Lindsay, if you want to drop maybe some of those Spotify links or podcast links into the feed, would be really great. But anyway, John, thank you for leading us in this grounding practice.
Yeah, and actually, before I get to the grounding practice, one more thing, I'm just gonna put a plug in for this YouTube channel. So again, we've moved to YouTube exclusively as far as video. And if you're listening to this and you want to watch video, check us out on the Men Talking Mindfulness YouTube channel, and we do go live with that at 12:30 Eastern on Fridays. So if you're not following us on YouTube, make sure you follow us, subscribe, hit the little bell so that you get notified when new episodes drop on video. All right, now let's get into our grounding practice.
Yeah, okay, I'm ready, John.
All right.
I'm ready.
So go ahead, if it's safe to do so, close your eyes, get into that comfortable position. If it's not safe, obviously don't close your eyes, just soften your gaze. Or if you're driving, you know what to do. I don't need to get too much into that, but just get comfortable and let's bring our attention to our breath. Again, like we normally say, or like I normally say anyway, don't feel like you need to force anything, but bring your attention very specifically, very acutely, very intentionally to the physical sensation of breathing. Noting where the air is entering your body and how that feels, and where the air is leaving your body and how that feels. Notice the difference in the feeling of the air entering your body compared to how it feels leaving your body. Maybe a little bit cooler as it enters your body, goes down into your lungs, gets changed out, and it leaves your body a little bit warmer. Maybe a little drier as it enters your body than it is when it leaves. And notice the physical sensations associated with the expansion and contracting of your lungs. Your chest and belly expanding as you breathe in to make room for your lungs, to make room for your diaphragm pushing down into your belly as you breathe in. And then as that air leaves, your lungs contracting, your diaphragm pushing back up into your chest, and your chest and belly contracting, shrinking. And now just continue breathing naturally, but let's bring our awareness to our entire bodies in this time and in this space right now, right here. Notice feet planted on the ground. Hands are potentially on your laps or on your desk or on your belly or chest. Just notice where they are in time and space. And now shift from a feeling of physical awareness to thoughts of emotional gratitude. Emotional gratitude for where you are and how you are in this time and space. That personal gratitude for yourself, something that we don't give ourselves often enough. And then gratitude for your friends, your family, your colleagues, who they are and how they show up in your life. Even those that we may feel some sort of negative energy towards, we can be grateful for them in our lives and the lessons that we learn from them, and how we can be better in our lives because of everyone in our lives. Because of our friends, our families, our colleagues holding us accountable. And that's what today's show is on. We are very thankful for that. And then again, we are very thankful and grateful for ourselves and how we hold ourselves accountable. And let's wrap it up with one last deep cleansing breath. Begin by letting out as much air as you can, bringing your navel to your spine. Breathe in deep, in through your nose if you're able. Filling those lungs as much as you can. Holding at the top. And letting it go nice and slow. Slow, slow. And finally bringing some movement back into your body. And if your eyes were closed, start to blink them open. And bring yourself to the show. Here we are. Let's kick it off, brother.
Yeah, Jon.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Man. If you guys are listening, you guys need to tune into video to see how Will wrap that up. It was beautiful and so much fun. So, way to go, man.
Just listen to a little Public Enemy before to get psyched for the show, Power to the People. So I still got that vibe in my body. But thank you. That was a beautiful meditation, Jon. And I did your just letting things be meditation on our feed the other night, and just did such a great job with that, and really helped me to kind of get things into perspective. Jon, so should we start with another quote or go back?
We've got a couple in our notes. So let's go through those quotes. I know that's always a great way to kick it off, and then we'll do the Will Schneider defining the word that we're covering. I think that's always always great for the audience, and it's good for me because I have an idea of what these words mean, but really getting into the definition is helpful. So let's go through some of your quotes. I've got one that I want to cover, and then we'll get into that definition.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Well, let's come back to the one at the beginning here. This is John D. LeMay. It says, accountability separates the wishers in life from the action takers, and the action takers that care enough about their future to account for their daily actions. And Sam Silverstein says, accountability is the basis of all meaningful human achievement. What do you got, Jon?
I love it, man. So the one, actually two, one just popped into my mind as you were reading that first one. The one that has been attributed to some tribes in Africa, but the true author is really unknown. But I'm sure many of our audience have heard it. It's if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together. And that's really what it boils down to with accountability. Is a lot of the time we're we're able as individuals to set a goal that is short-sighted, and we can get that goal pretty quickly. But if it's a goal that's way off in the distance, be it physical distance or distance in time, as far as the calendar, it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough to do on your own. And if you have someone holding you accountable, it's a lot easier. And then what was the other one? I was starting to type it into our notes. So the action takers one. And I'm going to butcher this one because I'm paraphrasing it, but it's something to the effect of, hey, we all have the will to win. Everyone has that will to win, but very few have the will to prepare to win. And that's the difference. Having that will to prepare to win, having that will to actually go after that goal, not just go after that goal, but prepare to get to that goal. That's the difference maker. And a lot of the time, having someone there to offer support, to check in with you. Hey, did you do your run today? Did you do your writing? Did you do your workout? Did you eat healthy? Whatever. that can
Yeah.
be the big difference maker. So yeah.
Yeah.
And
It reminds me, a military, someone, a veteran in my family, he says in the military, he tells me that hope is not a plan. Hope is
that's
not a
right.
plan, which I'm like, boom, a plan is a plan, right? And if you're going to really begin to take action and really want to achieve great things, then you must have a strategy. We're going to talk about, how to strategize and how to leverage accountability in order to really, in order to achieve your goals. But let's get into the definition. So accountability is related to accountable. Okay. It's just, I forget what ility is, like. I don't know if it's Jared, I can't remember, like whatever, so definition for accountable is required or expected to justify actions or decisions, right? Required or expected to justify actions or decisions. Responsible also is associated with accountable. The fact or condition of being accountable and being responsible. Synonyms: responsibility, liability, answerability. Listen to all these words, right? Reporting and obedience. Obedient to a particular goal, to a particular, to adhering to guidelines that have been put out by, we're going to talk about, masterminding and accountability structures and stuff like that. So that's the basic definitions. And where do you want to go next, Jon, with this?
Well, I'd love to, go into what the data that we found in regards to
Yes.
how much more likely you are to actually achieve your goals if you have some type of accountability. If you have an accountability buddy, if you have, somebody that you're formally checking in with for accountability or your progress towards your goals. So what we found is in the American Society of Training and Development, they did a study on accountability and found that you have a 65% chance of completing a goal if you commit to someone. And that 65% bumps all the way up to 95% if you have a specific accountability appointment with an accountability partner. And now the question that might be, what about my chance of success on my own? So it's only 10% if all you have is an idea. A 10% chance of success if you're like, oh, you know what? Tomorrow I want to start a diet. That's your idea. You don't vocalize it. You don't verbalize it. You just have that in your mind. You only have a 10% chance of success. 25% if you decide to take action on this goal. 40% if you have some type of deadline. 50% if you have a step-by-step plan for how you want to meet your goals. And then it jumps up again from 50%, again with no accountability partner, from 50% to 65% if you have that accountability partner, and then a 95% chance if you have that formal meeting with an accountability appointment or accountability partner. So you have maybe an appointment once a week, checking in. Maybe it's once a day, which is, again, I think one of the reasons that mindfulness and movement experience is so powerful with those who are participating is we check in with one another regularly. Hey, how's the meditation going? How's the movement going? And people are having profound effects mentally and physically because of the checking in, the accountability piece. So,
yeah, the person piece. And it's like, as you're reading this, I'm like, if I was going to bet on a horse, right, would I want to just bet on the idea or just the goal or the deadline? You know what I mean? It's like, set yourself up for success, right? If this is the data and we're all human beings, and most of us are going probably very likely to align with these percentages, then what you're hearing is like, definitely set a deadline, but also commit to a goal, but then commit that goal and get into some sort of commitment and agreement with somebody else of how you're going to achieve that goal, and also check in on that goal in a specific time. So awesome. Right. But then we talked about, that I just said the word goal like a few times.
It's perfect, man.
Right,
you're holding everyone accountable by reiterating the word.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, but what about goals, Jon? Like, what are good ways to set up successful goals? Because you can have the greatest accountability or mastermind structure, and people in your life that helped you hold accountable, but without a good foundation and what a clear aspect or clear elements of what your goal is, then it doesn't matter what you're really accountable to, because you're not being held accountable to something that's actually very clear and very defined. So why don't you walk us, if you want, John, or comment,
Yeah.
whatever, or walk us through that SMART goal if you like.
Yeah, sure, man. I love that we work on these notes together. Well, separately, but it's the same note Google document that we always share, and it's always great to see what Will puts in there and then what I put in there. And I was so happy when I opened this up and I saw that you had put in the SMART goals, SMART, SMART goals, and that's when I do some executive coaching. That's one of the first things that I talk about is having SMART goals. Again, SMART goals. And it's an acronym, not just a smart word. It's an acronym for
it's not just a smart way to do things, right? Sorry.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's obviously a play on words, but the acronym is great. So S is for specific. So you don't want just, hey, I want to lose weight. You say, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds, or, you want to be specific. It's very specific, as specific as you can be. So S is for specific. M is for measurable. So it should be a goal that's something you can track and measure progress towards. So again, I'm using the weight thing as an example, but it applies across the board. So with weight, let's say you want to lose 10 pounds. That's the specific. Measurable, you can stand on a scale and actually see that and see the difference that you're making. It's not just some random goal that you're setting that's not measurable. Actionable, A is for actionable. There should be clear tasks or actions you take to make progress toward a goal. So maybe with the weight example, you're setting a task of, today I'm going to start cutting back on carbs. And then again, you're going to be more specific. Hey, today I want to cut back to a specific number of grams of carbs in a day. And that's going to be your task. So again, actionable. Having realistic goals. So, again, with the weight example, I'm going to lose 50 pounds by the end of the month. That might be a stretch. I mean, I know some people have done it, but it's been pretty extreme. So having a realistic goal, and then finally time or timely, time bound, having some type of goal by a certain time. So by the end of this month, by the end of 6 months, by whatever time. But again, SMART, S is for specific, M is for measurable, A is for actionable, R is for realistic, and T is for time bound or timely. So that's your SMART goals. And again, that is so powerful. If you set your goals up that way, you're much more likely to succeed in achieving them.
Yeah. I'll add also to the SMART goal list, it's like writing them down, like writing them down. I would also suggest reading them like every day, like all the time, and then see or visualize your success. Visualize what is the end goal of you. You brought up earlier, you talked about losing weight, but like you can see yourself, losing that weight, what it feels like. Really get into the feeling, not just what it looks like. What are the feelings of losing all that weight? And then also with the SMART goal, sharing it, right? Coming into some sort of accountability structure or mastermind in which somebody is holding you accountable for that time boundness of the goal, right? And really talking you through what this SMART goal is. And I think another part of this is like the SMART goal is a clear why. Like, why are you doing this? And connecting to a why, right? Instead of just a numeric or something that is more of information or more kind of numerical, whereas why kind of gets you deeper into the feeling world, which is really important, which are going to connect you deeper and provide the motivation and the willpower to get up and do it when you're very clear what that why is on this SMART goal and really what you're trying to achieve.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. All that is golden, Will. And, I'm going to grab my webcam and show you something here. And hopefully I don't screw this up too much. This is something I wasn't planning, but I've got this dry erase board over here. Let me see. Did I screw it up? I did screw it up. So I disappeared there. So what did I do? Hopefully, let me see. I'll come back.
You're kind of frozen a little bit, but maybe it'll kick back in. But this is your Scrum on the go. Is that what we're going to look at, John?
Yeah, there is that. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
All right. I don't know let me see about my camera here. So anyway, what I was trying to show you is the fact that I have a board over here. Let me see if I can do it again. I'm back visual, right? Hopefully I don't screw this up. This is what we have. Again, if you haven't seen the show before, it's live, raw, uncut, and unapologetic.
And we
And
do
I'm
the
going to
best
move
we
my
can.
webcam. Okay, this is definitely not working. The webcam is definitely not working. So anyway, bottom line is I have this dry erase board over to the side that I have all my goals written down, and I specifically used the format highlighted in Gary Kellar's book, The One Thing. So I wrote my overall someday goals, like someday I want to have X, Y, or Z, and I broke it down into professional and personal. And then I broke it down further down. Okay, what if to attain my someday goals? What do I need to do in the next 5 years? And then to attain my 5-year goals, what do I need to do in the next 1 year? And then I continue to break it down. Literally, the bottom of the list is what do I need to do today?
Right.
And if you're able to break your goals down into some more easily attainable, but know that each one of those miniature goals is a rung on that ladder towards the very top of that ladder, you're more likely to attain those goals. So, and that's yourself, holding yourself accountable, having that list written and having it broken down into those smaller goals. So I think those are, that's very important. Again, sorry for the snafu trying to grab my webcam. I guess it can't handle being moved.
Hey, we just learned something, John. So kudos to Men Talking Mindfulness on YouTube, right? And HD
right.
and everything. But it's that reverse engineering. It's nice to have that 5-year goal, but like without reverse engineering, where what every day looks like, right? Every week looks like, every month, every few months, every 6 months, every year, like it's going to be the vision isn't clear, right? Again, it's a connecting to the why. We're having a clear why, but having a clear vision of where you want to go, and then using all of these and using the tools, right, of the SMART goal, writing it down. And we're going to talk about in a moment of and bringing people into your vision, right? Bringing people in to help you achieve this goal, and why that's so powerful, and why that really comes into that 95%. Like you have a 95% chance if somebody is holding you accountable to something in a timely manner. So it's just like it's getting clear and writing things down. I mean, I can't. And also, I think it's really important, John, is expressing the goals of somebody else instead of it's just being about you and your mind and your vision. Right? When you take those words or those feelings and those ideas and begin to put words behind them, there's something about when you speak, it kind of brings it makes it a little bit more tangible, right, in the physical world. Right. Instead of just being in our imagination and being in our hearts and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. 100%, man. So yeah, let's go from that, expressing those goals, making them tangible into expressing those goals to a buddy, and then how to pick that buddy, how to pick that partner.
Yeah.
You want to kick that off, and then I've got a couple comments on it.
Well, for sure. Yeah. I've worked in a masterminding. So I read Think and Grow Rich, I think back in 2008 was the first time I read Think and Grow Rich. I read it a couple times since then. This is like Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich. It's fantastic. He wrote it back in 1937 after interviewing, I think, over 20 or 25 years of time. He was commissioned by none other than Dale Carnegie. Right?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Not Dale Carnegie. It was
he got Andrew Carnegie.
Yeah, Andrew Carnegie. Yes, Andrew Carnegie.
Yeah.
Right. The Andrew Carnegie to take this time, and it gave him some money to interview the most successful people in business during that time. And over this 20-year period, he published in 1937. Think how long ago that is. Like that is a long time ago. But the principles of success and Think and Grow Rich. I think he has 12 principles sorry, I should remember after reading it so many times, but one of them is masterminding. And he says in masterminding, and what referring to masterminding is also an accountability structure as well. And he says, 2 or more people who work in perfect harmony for the attainment of a defined purpose, right? That's what mastermind is. 2 or more people who work in perfect harmony for the attainment of a defined purpose. And he also says what's nice about coming together and speaking your goal to somebody else and having someone hold you accountable to that goal is another concept he says I really enjoy. He goes, when 2 minds come together, a third mind is formed. And in this third mind that's formed, right, during this, through this, whether it's just 2 people doing this together or a group of people, is where you begin to access or have the ability to get more creative, because there's more minds than just your own to somehow to further access that goal, or maybe like overcome obstacles that seemed almost impossible. But by coming together, and this is how we kind of grow in the show in a lot of ways, Jon.
Yeah.
You and I, we come together all the time talking about how we're going to do this, how we're going to do that, and all of a sudden there's this, if you want to say, that third mind is inspiration. And we just keep filling with our energy and our intention and our clear why and our clear goal of what we want to do, right? Inspiration is part of this experience as well. So that's why
I gotta interrupt real quick to give a shout out to our executive assistant, Lindsay, who is truly where our third mind comes from, quite literally and figuratively. And when Will and I have these crazy ideas, one, she'll help to keep us in check, or two, she'll be like, oh, if you want to implement this, then you should look at this, look at that. And she really helps to keep us on track, and really has been a powerful addition to helping to grow the show and grow what it is we're doing. And the three of us, I mean, though we haven't termed ourselves a mastermind of any sort, that when the three of us come together weekly after the show, we do a little mind meld of what we could do differently, what we could do better, what we could change. Lindsay always brings great ideas to the table, and is truly a powerful side of the mastermind that we have. I just wanted to throw that out there. And then I also want to come back to Napoleon Hill and what he mentions there in Think and Grow Rich. He says, in my research, while organizing the science of success, I had the collaboration of practically every outstanding successful man. Now, granted, this is 1937, so his interviews were exclusively men, but I'm sure there's a lot that he missed out from by not interviewing women. But anyway, man, this country has produced during the past 50 years. And I can tell you definitely that their success was due in the main to their knowledge and application of the mastermind principle. And here are some of the people that were in his mastermind: Carnegie, Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan. I mean, can you imagine that being your mastermind? I mean, your mastermind group. But I just want to also touch on the power of the mastermind, aside from what I just talked about with you, me, and Lindsay. Will, I'm part of a little mastermind alliance. It's called the SJ4 Mastermind Alliance. And the reason we call it SJ4 is there's 4 Johns, literally 4 Johns, and a guy named Saul in there. And we meet once a month to discuss our goals, to discuss whatever topic that we kind of assign. And it's virtual. We all meet on a Zoom call, and we hold one another accountable. Every month, there's a new person in the hot seat. And they're like, okay, well, these are my goals. And then we text one another and call one another regularly to see how everyone is doing towards attaining those goals, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, whatever the case may be. That little group that we have is powerful. And I know that we are all better for the group. We're all better for being a part of the group. Again, physically, mentally, emotionally, professionally, personally, whatever. We are growing from that. And that is the power of accountability and the power of the mastermind group. But I also want to talk, and you can come jump in on this, Will, is aside from the mastermind, if you don't have a mastermind, if you just have one individual buddy, accountability partner, you go about picking that. Well, I mean, the mastermind is, one or two or more people. But even if you don't have a mastermind per se, if you just have one person that you're checking in with, how do you pick that partner? What do you do to pick that partner? And what makes somebody a good accountability partner?
Well, I think, and you can, vulnerability is one, like somebody that's willing to communicate, and vulnerability is very important because it's your willingness to, talk about your faults or talk about the areas that you're weak, and you can use their support. So really getting honest, right? So having very, very clear, honest communication, and these people will help you, see your weaknesses and how your old habits are getting in the way of your success. Again, vulnerability is necessary for change and to develop the greatness. Having effective and honest communication, just really communicating in a very clear way, especially when things are breaking down and you're not achieving those kind of goals. Exercising gratitude, just within the group, to have the opportunity to meet like this, to spend time together, to receive that help from somebody else. And then also you want to pick people that are are responsible. They're going to show up on time. They're going to have their work done. They're going to be, when you have that time bound specific smart goal that you're working with, that they're going to be there. Like, if you want to get up and, meditate in the morning is one of your goals, right? They're going to be the ones that during those first, maybe couple days or a couple weeks that are going to hit you up, the night before and said, hey, remember to get up and meditate, or set your alarm for your meditation, or, or hit you up like, an hour before your meditation, like, hey, remind me, reminding you your meditation is taking place at 2:00 because that's what you committed to. So having somebody that's reliable and responsible, excellent communicator, vulnerable, and there's a lot of other attributes, but are those the ones that kind of you feel that are in that SJ4 group, Jon, that you have?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I mean, some of the topics that we have talk about raw, uncut, and unapologetic in the SJ4 mastermind that we have. We speak about some very tough topics, and we're very vulnerable with one another. And that's you have to be in a space that you feel safe enough to be that vulnerable with others. You have to trust them wholeheartedly, 100%. But two, on the flip side, you have to know that they are going to tell you the truth. They're like, let's say, coming back to the victim mentality show episode that we did, like you could, if you go into a one-on-one conversation with an accountability buddy, or you go into a larger mastermind group and you start complaining, you need to have people that are going to be open and honest with you and say, you know what? I love you, buddy, but the reason you're not attaining your goals is because you aren't doing something right. They're going to be very frank and brutally honest with you. And that's very important. And so, sometimes your accountability partner could be your significant other, but sometimes you may not want that, because sometimes that brutal honesty is tough to have as far as with your significant other about attaining goals. Like that could be tough to bring into a relationship. But hey, if that's the significant other that you have, then more power to you. But if finding that accountability buddy one-on-one or a mastermind is tough to do, there's also groups that you can join, or social media, right? Just post it on social media. Today I'm going to run 5 miles, and I'm going to do it by 6 p.m. Check in with me before the end of the day to see if I've done it. Something as simple as that, or something much larger. I mean, Will and I want to write a book, and we've started it, but it's been tough to really stick to sitting down and writing regularly. So I committed to Will, and I committed openly in another in the Movement RX mindfulness and movement experience group that we have, that I'm going to be writing regularly on Saturday and Sunday morning, somewhere between 500 and 1,000 words. And I put that out there, not just randomly to the universe, but I put that out there to people that I trust and who I know are going to hold me accountable to that. That can be a big one. The other thing is, go ahead,
Jon. No, keep going.
Yeah.
What I would like to do after that, Jon, is I want to actually, what you just said about that goal of writing, right? Let's put that in, or not into, let's walk that through, or see how that is a SMART goal, right? Again, I just want to kind of double down on the SMART goal aspect of it, but keep going. I'm sorry.
And you know what? We're putting that out there right now to our audience. Our audience needs to hold us accountable to getting this book written, and we'll touch on the SMART aspect of that goal here in a minute. But aside from the social media thing, different apps. So, for example, Insight Timer, that's a meditation app. At the end of your meditation, it says that you've meditated for 1 day, or you've meditated for 360 days consecutively. That app is holding you accountable, but it also puts that out there for your followers on Insight Timer. So if you have friends or followers on that app, they can see how many days you've meditated on that app, and they can hold you accountable to it. Peloton and Strava and some of these other fitness apps that are out there. you can share that you've done a run or a walk or a hike or whatever, and people can see it and they can give you, a little thumbs up. And that might be the accountability that you need to go out there and do it. So again, if actual accountability buddy that you're checking in with is tough for you to get or makes you uncomfortable, well, one, making you uncomfortable is not an acceptable excuse. But if it's tough for you to get, then maybe look at social media or an app of some sort. So that's the next thing. And then lastly, I want to talk on is hiring a coach. Even like I'm an executive coach on the side, but I have coaches who walk me through personal and professional goals and walk me and hold me accountable to that, and spend money on it. I know that sounds crazy, but spending money on getting to your goals, you're putting some skin in the game. And when you put that skin in the game, you're more likely to attain those goals. So, whether that's an executive coach, whether that's a life coach, whether that's a coach in the gym, you're more likely to attain your goals if you're actually paying someone to do it. So if it's not a buddy, like a true friend that you're doing it with, maybe hire someone to hold you accountable.
One thing I've done in the past, Jon, with the companies that I've worked with and Lindsay and I've worked with, is like actually having a contract. Write it down. There's something so powerful about, it's like, instead of like it being in an email, it's okay, or in a bunch of text messages, it's like actually having a physical paper contract. If you writing those goals down and you both signing it at the bottom, right? There's just something about that element of like literally putting your ass in the line. And I'm a big fan of like putting skin in the game. It's like, you really want to achieve, invest in yourself. It's not like you're not like throwing money or wasting money or spending money. Think of it as like you're investing in your future. You're investing in your goals. You're kind of getting away from the idea of hope and actualizing your goals so that you have a much higher rate of achieving them, as we talked about. Well, let's just actually, Jon, talk about the SMART goal of our book, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
So SMART would be, S is for specific, right? A goal should be linked to one activity, thought, or idea, right? So it is well, I say, so I'm kind of like putting it all in one. So specific, we want to write our book, right? Right. So if I'm kind of messing these up, Jon, stay with me a little bit.
Good.
Right? You're good. We're going to break it down. Okay. So M for measurable. A goal should be something you can track and measure progress on. Okay. So we're looking to Jon and myself. Like Jon's committed to writing 500 to 1,000 words like on Saturday and Sunday. I'm committed to 4 hours a week, 2 hours on Saturday for sure, and then 2 hours during the rest of the week, which I'm going to schedule in order to get them done. So writing that down. So measurable. So that's like, that comes into 4 hours a week. And also what Jon was talking about is writing 500 to 1,000 words, right? A, actionable. There should be a clear task or action you can take to make progress towards your goal. So actionable. So when, right? When is this taking place? Right? Getting very clear. When are you going to do these things? So not just hoping you find the time, but making the time. Being realistic on a goal. I think it's realistic that we can have a first draft of a book in another like 11 and a half months. Right? I mean, it's like, but also it's like by us putting that goal forward, right? It's going to keep driving and seeing that goal of finishing the draft by the end of the year. It's going to keep us motivated and inspired in order to show up, because we, at the end of the year, this is what we want to achieve. And then timely. So timely, again, by the end of 2022 in December, 31st. Yeah. How does that all sound, Jon?
No, that was good. I think that the actionable one, the A, is, a little tough when we're talking about writing a book, because there's some bleed over between measurable and actionable, right? So the measurable is 500 to 1,000 words for me on Saturday and Sunday, but that's also the actionable side, the task that we or action that we want to take. We want to actually wake up on Saturday morning, Sunday morning, and sit down to write. Then the measurable side is the 500 to 1,000 words. But I mean, that was a great breakdown of the SMART goal that we have in getting this book written. But I was also like, let's get vulnerable here with our audience, man. Let's talk about some. I mean, let's talk about some goals that we may have set in the past that we didn't attain. And then those maybe similar goals that we set another time, and we had either a buddy or a mastermind or some group that we were a part of that held us accountable, and we did attain those goals. So I'll start, Will. So
Awesome.
I mean, right now I'm trying to eat healthier, work out more regularly, and I'm doing that marathon training, or half marathon training. Well, there have been times, specifically since having kids, it's a lot harder for me to do some of these things, eating well and staying in the gym and running. And I've set goals. Hey, I'm going to run, 25 miles this week. And I've completely failed because I internalized that in my head. I didn't vocalize it to anyone else, and nobody else held me accountable. Now I've got a group that's holding me accountable to eating better, and to running regularly. Writing our book before, putting it out there for you and for some of the other folks who are holding me accountable. I wrote, a few thousand words, and then it's kind of just fallen off into a task that I will get to, quote unquote, someday. This show in and of itself holds me accountable for a whole lot of different reasons. One, my mindfulness journey. I don't want to be a fraud or someone who's not actually holding up my end of the bargain in practicing meditation and living mindfully. I literally, because I do this show and I talk about these topics, I do meditate regularly and I live more mindfully because a big part of that is because of this show. And then also I'm learning from you, Will, all the time. And in the research that we do and the prep that we do for this show, if I didn't have that, I most likely wouldn't do that research. I wouldn't learn a lot of what I've learned in the past 4 seasons in prepping for this show, and not just in prepping for the show, but in having the discussion with you weekly. I mean, this in and of itself, like we've talked about, just this show is a mastermind. The two of us sitting around and talking and talking about our challenges, obstacles that get in the way, and ways to overcome those. And even the trip to Costa Rica, when we did the trip to Costa Rica to do a psychedelic journey for the Rest, Rewire, and Reset trip, I most likely wouldn't have done that if it weren't for you, Will, and if it weren't for the show. At least not as soon as I did, because there was an aspect of it that made me uncomfortable, and now I'm very thankful for you and this show for having done it. So those are some areas that I've failed, and where I've ended up learning from those failures, but more importantly, learning to have others hold me accountable and grow. So over to you, Will.
Yeah, thanks for putting me right on the spot, Jon. But no, I mean, you're right. I think it's
I thought I gave you enough time there.
No, it's okay. I mean, I've been like, but like, I think what the vulnerability that we have with each other, and we talk about all the time in the show, really what makes what we're doing, and with Lindsay, possible. Like very, very, very possible, because in some ways we know what we're doing, but then we don't know what we're doing, and we're also figuring out as we go along and discovering new things, right?
There's a lot more of when we don't know what we're doing.
We do the best we can, right? I'm learning so much, Jon, as well, because of the show, because like, again, this is like our little SMART goal every week and throughout the season is to put up a show every Friday. Right. And there's certain element we have,
absolutely.
When you give yourself that deadline, and you have to naturally, I mean, especially what I love about being live, Jon, is like, it's like, you're showing up for a test. It's like, fuck, like I need to study and I got one shot to do it. Right. I mean, and that live element really gives us that, it really brings up that, that again, raw, uncut, unapologetic. It's because like, that's the way it has to be. Right. And
the audience is holding us accountable, right?
Audience is holding us accountable.
In a way.
Yeah. Like I really, last year I got very clear in the beginning of last year, and Lindsay was a big part of this as well. And another friend out there, I give a shout out to Mike Lord, was a big part of helping me the beginning of last year, was to really open and be more successful at my virtual yoga studio. Right. And I was rocking and rolling very strongly until about May. And it's going to, I mean, and like, is this an excuse? I don't know. The market shifted dramatically sometime in May. I think COVID was kind of letting up a little bit. Everyone is kind of being sick of indoors and working online virtually. So all of those SMART goals I had just kind of blew up, and like everything I had. And like, yes, I could have grounded out, and kind of tried to grind down, but like the need for what I was giving wasn't there. So I needed to pivot dramatically, and shift in a new way to teach more in person. I'm teaching more privately as well. Also giving shout outs on the show a couple of times, like, and even here, it's like anyone's looking to learn, to breathe and be more mindful. And also we can do yoga. I can do it virtually, or I could do it here in the city. I would love to work with you. And, for this year, Jon, and to be honest, like I need to get deeper into this, because again, this is a huge learning experience, like trying to grow, really not just produce the content to help our audience, but how do we involve and reach out and pull more people into this conversation of mindfulness and what we're trying to achieve here. But growing, what I want to be held to this year, I mean, from our group, the three of us, as well as to the audience, is growing MTM to 150,000 downloads by the end of the year, 150 downloads by the end of the year, and growing 5xing our audience right now to 1,500 people. And yeah, I mean, I have a lot of work to do in the sense of like, how do we achieve that? How do I reverse engineer involving 1,500 people to right now? How do I reverse engineer getting 150,000 downloads? We're only at like 35,000 right now. So 5xing that as well. So it's like, I have some work to do, and, but I'm not afraid to do the work. And that's where kind of it starts for me. But when I do have that SMART goal and I do find those things out, I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to share it with Lindsay, and I'll even share some in like, I promise everybody out there, I'll share it in a video that you can watch on YouTube to see how we're going to make this happen. And then, but now putting it out there in the world, speaking, right, the goal, right, putting my skin in the game, putting my ass in the line. It's like, now I'm like, oh shit, like I don't want to, by in December of this year, seem like I'm failing. I mean, I'm sure going to learn a lot along the way of how to do all these things. But yeah, I mean, it's like, but it's, I think it's like, yeah, go ahead. I mean, well, let me just say one more thing, John. Sorry, one more thing. It's like me saying I'm getting nervous talking about these things. and what I've also heard about goals, if it doesn't make you, right, if you're trying to speak of a goal and it doesn't scare you in some way, it's not big enough.
Yeah.
It's not big enough. It's not big enough. And having that bigger goal is going to create more drive, create more inspiration. It's going to have you ask bigger questions in order to get to that bigger goal. Right. So just like, you can, you talk about you running and stuff like that. It's like, it's like, if your goal is to run just 1 mile, I mean, unless you have some serious physical issues that even just walking 10 feet is very challenging, a mile is going to be incredibly an awesome opportunity for you to do. But if you're an able-bodied person, 1 mile, I mean, is that really enough? Like, can you stretch? Can you go to that 10? Can you run the marathon? Could you, complete an Ironman by the end of the year or something like that? So really, if your goal isn't big enough, if it doesn't scare you in some way,
yeah, you've excuse me. I'm sure you've heard of BHAGs, right? BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goals, and that comes from Jim Collins's book, Built to Last. If your goal is not big, hairy, and audacious, then it's not big enough. So having that BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal that scares you, that's where you want to be, is having it there. And that's what's going to make you attain those goals. And those goals that you mentioned, Will, are BHAGs. They are, they're scary. They're big and hairy and audacious. But another thing that you hit on earlier in the show, and you hit on in each one of those goals, is you mentioned why, right? We don't just want to grow the show because it makes us feel good. Granted, it does make us feel good when there's 35,000 downloads, and hopefully by the end of the season, not hopefully, it will be when 100 when it is 150,000 downloads. That's going to make us feel good. But more importantly, what it is we're talking about here on the show is helping people grow. It's helping people be more mindful. It's helping people attain their goals. It's helping people be more compassionate. It's helping people and society. And if we can do that with more and more people, then ultimately our why is being fulfilled. And that, tying that why to your goals and starting with that, is huge. So good on you, man. I love working with you, and I love where your goals are at, man.
Thanks. Same here, John. I mean, we just, our show, I just, we just want to help create more peace in people's lives. If you have more peace in your life, right? I mean, there's a lot of other things too, but just that element of just using mindfulness to create more peace in your life. You have more peace with yourself. You're going to create more peace around you and everybody else around you. But then how do you do that? Right. And that could be one of your goals. It's just like, how do I find more peace? Right. And it's going to start with meditation. It's going to be work with breathing. So, but then how do you do that? And that's why it's good. Call in the buddy, right? Have somebody. I think a good example is like if you are listening to our show, and you're inspired to meditate. It's like, again, coming back to those numbers in the beginning. I'm just going to read it again, just because sometimes you got to really like beat a dead horse, right? It's like you have 95%, right? And if you have a specific accountability appointment with a person you're committed to, you will increase your chances of success by 95%. So it could look something like this. Like, I want to start meditating every day for 10 minutes, right? That's our SMART goal, right? But then how, right? What do you need to do in order to, make that happen? It's like, if you have a buddy that's going to sit and meditate with you, or help you and you help them meditate every day, right? For that 10 minutes, and they're going to check with you and say like, hey, are you meditating? What time are you meditating today? I'm going to meditate in the morning. Or I think it's great with these mindfulness practices is that you make the time, but make the time at the same time every day.
Right.
And it just becomes, that's how you're really going to start to form a habit and begin to kind of shift everything else that was currently in the way of whatever time that is. Say it's like 9 o'clock in the morning or something like that. Everything else, it happens before. Everything else happens after. But that little 10-minute nugget at 9 o'clock to 9:10 is protected and on your calendar, just like anything else. And marking it on your calendar, even putting it on your calendar, is really going to help.
Yeah.
Drive that
huge.
home. So
yeah, that's a huge way of doing it, man. I live and die by my calendar.
Yeah, exactly. Leverage the technology that we have. Leverage the technology that we have. We have so much of it, and there's so many apps and different tools out there. Use the tools. They're called tools for a specific reason, because they're supposed to help our efforts, right? And become more actionable, more effective.
Well, awesome. We just got the 5-minute warning there by our executive assistant Lindsay, who is again holding us accountable. So hey, let's start to wrap this show up. So man, any last minute comments before we do wrap it up?
No, nothing right now, John. I could probably keep talking for the next hour, but
all right.
especially on this topic. But yeah,
before you jump into the final grounding practice of the show, I just want to put one more plug in for our audience. If you're listening to this, if you're watching it, check us out on YouTube, again, where we've moved to exclusively for the video and for the live feed. And we'd love it if you would go to YouTube, subscribe, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell so that you get notified when new episodes come out. And we really, again, with regards to growing our audience, we want to grow our YouTube audience. Again, not just to feel good, though it does make us feel good and we appreciate it. It's to hold us accountable, and then to bring what it is we're talking about to more and more people, because it is important that people hear these topics, to learn from it, to become more mindful, to become more compassionate, those types of things. So we appreciate you, and we would appreciate you subscribing and sharing the show with as many people as you would. So over to you, Will, brother.
Thank you, guys. All right, let's finish with a simple breathing grounding practice. Take your seat or stand up or stop what you're doing, or it's going to be very, very simple. There's going to be 3 little aspects to this breathing technique. And this is a great technique. If you're feeling kind of all jacked up or jazzed up and need to ground and need to let go of, emotional energy, or let go of a circumstance that just kind of jacked you up a little bit. All we're going to do is we're going to take 2 inhales. The first one's going to be, a big inhale. Then we're going to take a little sniff of an inhale after that. And we're going to exhale. The exhale is specific. We're going to exhale through the mouth by kind of pursing the lips. And imagine as you exhale, all that strain, that stress, all that jazz kind of just moving away from you, kind of pushing away from you, nice and easy. We're going to do this for 7 rounds. So find that seat if you want to ground those hands, ground those feet. Let's go with a nice close the eyes if you like. It's not necessary, but let's exhale the breath all the way out through the mouth. Take a big inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. Take another inhale through the nose. And exhale, let it go. Push all that breath out, out, out. Empty the belly completely. And then inhale again. 4. Big balloon in your torso. Hold. Another inhale. Exhale out. Again, big breath in. Hold. Another inhale. Exhale. Keep going. Got a few more. In big. Hold. Another hit of inhale. Exhale. Empty, empty, empty. Let's keep going. In, big breath. Another inhale. Exhale. Last one. Big inhale. 4. Another inhale. Exhale. Very nice. Last one. In big for 4. Another inhale. Exhale out. And let it all go. And then just take a moment and thank yourself for listening and being present to our show. And maybe take that moment and teach one of your friends that simple breathing technique, because I think we can all use a little break from stress and all the craziness that happens into our lives. When you're ready, open the eyes. And thank you, Jon. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank everybody for making this show possible. Thank you for listening to our first episode of season 4 of Men Talking Mindfulness. Thank you for joining our YouTube and subscribing to our YouTube channel as well. And thank you for sharing this with the people out there in your lives that can definitely use mindfulness and create more peace and happiness in their lives. Awesome.
Indeed. Yes. Thank you all. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Lindsay. Like you said, and thank you to the audience. You guys rock. Until next time, peace.
Thanks, guys. Peace.
Thanks for joining Will and Jon on Men Talking Mindfulness. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share it with your friends and family, and please, we would appreciate a review too. Until next time, this has been Men Talking Mindfulness. Thanks for showing up.